recently I was asked by Darren Binder, the marketing consultant at muzzleloaders.com mail order website, if I would be interested in doing a podcast with him. Yeah, boy, sign me up. Let's do it. So sit back and enjoy the podcast, because Darren and I talk about all aspects of muzzleloading. Yeah.
The Muzzleloaders.com podcast, your source for all things muzzleloading. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Muzzleloaders podcast, the show where we talk about anything and everything black powder. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by the black powder Maniac shooter, and we are going to be diving into just his YouTube channel, muzzleloading in general. So I'll just go ahead and introduce yourself, Mark.
Hi, I am Mark Humphreys and run the Black Powder Maniac Shooters YouTube channel. And thanks for having me on, Darren.
Oh, it is an absolute pleasure. I've had a great time watching your YouTube videos, and I think that you do a really good job of making how-to videos, but you know, concepts that can be kind of dry. You do a great job of making them very engaging and fun, and I just thoroughly enjoy watching your YouTube videos. So.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, of course. So I guess let's kind of go ahead and start off with, the basics, Mark. So like, how did you get into muzzle loading? How long have you been muzzle loading? All that kind of stuff.
It's kind of funny that you asked that, because back in 2013, my wife's brother calls me out of the blue one day and says, I got this old black powder gun I want to give you if you want to use it, and come on out here and get it. So we rode out to his house, and he gave me this one. It's a tradition Woodsman Hawken 50 caliber gun.
Mm-hmm.
These are probably $125 in pawn shops here in Kentucky. And he told me you put a little bit of that Pyrex powder down the barrel, and you shove a little ball down in it, or bullets, what he had at the time. And you just, cap it and you fire it.
Mm-hmm.
30 seconds of instructions about all I got, Darren, and I had balls dry-balled in there, stuck halfway down it, couldn't get them out. I had all kinds of headaches trying to learn how to basically fire just a regular old percussion gun.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, there's got to be a way to do this better, and that's one of the reasons why I started making the videos on the channel, so others can kind of get started by watching them and not do some of the silly things that I was doing, getting started with just a common percussion gun.
Yeah, and I know we were talking pre-show a little bit about muzzleloading, and it is relatively simple. Once you understand the basics, it's relatively simple, but it's hard to find information. There's not a whole lot of content out there about that, and so there are a few places like your YouTube channel and ours where we're really passionate about putting that information out there, because ultimately we just want more people to enjoy the things that we enjoy, which is muzzleloading,
Absolutely. I agree with you. And what I try to do is get others involved with it at home. I've let almost dozens of folks shoot this thing out here in the woods, and they kind of, as we said a minute ago, a little bit intimidated, but then to show them how easy it is to load it and actually make it work.
Mm-hmm. But
then they get real excited about it. And that's what I'm out to do, is get others involved so that I won't be shooting by myself all the time.
Exactly.
I like that. It's getting others with me to shoot some.
Yeah, for sure. And how long ago was it that you got that muzzleloader and started really getting passionate about it?
It was in the fall of 2013. What's that? 9-10 years ago, and I started shooting this thing, off and on. And then I told the wife, we were in Louisville, Kentucky one day, and I said, I'm gonna go in the Cabela's store and see if they have a flintlock rifle in there.
Mm-hmm.
And they happened to have one on the shelf, and it was the Kentucky Pedersoli gun, and I picked it up and bought it. And that one's been the workhorse of the channel pretty much since I've had the channel going. Mm-hmm. And
it's a pretty beat up gun now because it's been in canoes and in the creeks and in the rain and snow, and it looks like a true frontier gun. So that's what really got me hooked was the flintlock gun.
Yeah, I think a lot of people that I've talked to that have been in muzzleloading for a long time. We had a local guy named Daryl. He runs our local Rendezvous, and we had him on the podcast recently. And he was saying that when you are into traditional muzzleloading and you've been into it for a while, it's almost inevitable that you end up going into flintlock because it's just a little bit more to it, a little more challenging, and especially for those that really want to put the thought and effort into it, you really end up there eventually.
Absolutely, and I loved it. And I still shoot this one now and then, not as much as that flint gun.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got that one, I just totally hooked on shooting it. And by then I knew what I was doing a little bit better, so I didn't dry ball them very often. And other than when I'm talking to you and we're loading out in the field, then I'll do that occasionally. But they're really pretty easy to use, and it got me so hooked that I've basically given up all the other hobbies that I used to do up until then, and just primarily shoot these guns now and love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, I'm kind of known around the shop here as the dry ball guy because there was one day that I went out to the range and I was kind of in a rush because it was like getting dark and I just was trying to get things done. So I dry balled and I didn't bring a bullet puller with me, so I had to drive all the way back into town, get a bullet puller, pull it back out, drive back out to the range, and then did the exact same thing again. And so I'm like, so there's kind of a joke around the office about that. And there's not much, not much that humbles you more than that. You know, if you ever think a little bit too much of yourself, then you're like, oh, I'm not as good as I thought I was, I guess. So
exactly, you're pretty much dead in the water until you get it out. You know, and that's one of the reasons I put a how-to video together on how to get them out of percussion guns by shooting them out through the nipples, and also one on flint guns too. And it was easy for me to do them because I'm well experienced, just like you're talking about. So setting it up was very easy to do.
Yeah, and I've done it. I've done it that way. I've done it with the bullet pullers. The bullet pullers are definitely a little trickier because if you strip out the ball, then I mean that's just not going to work anymore. And so there's a few different ways to go about getting them out. But your videos like yours are really nice because dry balling is kind of not necessarily scary, but frustrating, and it's nice to have a step-by-step, like, hey, this is what I need to do. It's not that big of a deal. We can get this figured out,
Exactly. When I'm shooting by myself, I don't think anything of it, but it always happens when I'm shooting with others. And I get laughed at, as you talked about a minute ago. Yeah, you dry ball another one.
Yeah.
Part of the game. So
yeah. Well, and I one of the things that I really liked about your channel is you have a lot of content from muzzleloader shoots and like of you being at different muzzleloader shoots and things like that. And one of the things that I have really noticed in working here and stuff like that is the muzzleloader community is just full of excellent people. And if you ended up like dry balling at a rendezvous, which I have done, there's like all kinds of people that are like, oh, well, let's get this figured out. Let's sort it out. And they're all very friendly and helpful, has been my experience at least.
I agree totally. And usually 2 or 3 of them will come and help you out at one time.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's try that. And for the most part, within 3 or 4 minutes, you're back shooting again. And I enjoy shooting with the muzzleloading community. We shot at a club shoot down in eastern Kentucky just 2 weeks ago, and I didn't know any of those fellas, and they treat us like long lost family or something. We eat lunch chili with them and shooting their guns, and they're trying ours. And the muzzleloading community is just, for the most part, fabulous folks.
Yeah,
they'll give you the shirt off your back if you need it.
I agree. Yeah, it's amazing, and it never ceases to amaze me how welcoming they are every time I go to a rendezvous. Because rendezvous are kind of the things that I like as far as shoots go. That's kind of where I like to hang out, just because a lot of the people that I know locally, they go to the rendezvous, and they're just all amazing. I mean, like you said, give you the shirt off their back.
whatever. If you need powder, they'll give it to you. Round balls, patches.
Mm-hmm.
I've given away a few patches and stuff to others, and they've given them to me. It's just everybody's sharing, and that's what I really enjoy shooting with them. And they all treat you. It's not because I'm bringing the cameras there. They know that the cameras are visible, but they still treated. Two of us went to the shoot last weekend down there in Eastern Kentucky, and they treated my other friend the same way. They didn't care about the cameras. Come on in and let's get some chili and we'll go shoot some. And that's just the way they looked at it.
Yeah.
They didn't really enjoyed the company of everyone that was at these shoots. And visited the Red River Renegades group back in Dallas, Texas, back in the summertime, and they were the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Just treated me like a long lost friend, and we trying each other's guns all afternoon, and some strange guns I've never tried before. And that's another thing I like about the getting together with others is they'll pull any kind of black powder guns out of the cars. Here, try this one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I really enjoy that. That's very neat.
Yeah, yeah. We always say, like, if you're wanting to get into muzzleloading, check out a Rendezvous or check out a local shoot because, don't be intimidated by that because there's going to be people that are going to be chomping at the bit to help you learn.
They'll go out of their way to help you get started.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've done that with several folks. Just, work with them until they get comfortable with it. And then and every year on the New Year's Day, we have a big free shoot over at the Friendship, Indiana at the Muzzleloading Association's grounds.
Yeah.
And once they're familiar with the guns, give them one. Here, go shoot it for a while. Mm-hmm. Here's the powder. Here's a bit of lead. Knock yourself out. If you got a problem, come find us. We'll get you running again. And it makes it really nice because, let's face it, shooting muzzleloaders is not as expensive as modern weapons anymore.
Mm-hmm.
If you pour your own round balls, you cut your own patches, basically you're buying powder, flints, and caps, and that's it. And not the modern shells, which are, real outrageous at the moment. You can't even find them reasonable.
Yeah.
So we just help yourself, shoot all you want. Don't cost us hardly anything.
For sure. Yeah. And that kind of like brings up a question is, with your YouTube videos, how has the recent lack of supply of like powders and percussion caps, how has that affected your production of YouTube videos? Were you able to stock up before, or how have you gotten around that?
I've stocked up before. I keep quite a bit of powder handy, and so the percussion caps were getting a little low last spring, and it happened to stop into a pawn shop here in Eastern Kentucky, and they had 3 cases of number 11 caps.
Wow.
And, a box of 10, another box of 10, another box of 10. So I bought 2 of the 3. I don't want everybody to think I'm hoarding. I left the rest of them for everybody else. And I get accused of hoarding stuff all the time, but I shoot these things several hundred times a week. So I'm running through the caps. They won't last me but about a year or so, year and a half, and I'll be out looking for more of them.
Mm-hmm.
So when I get out into the field, I'll run these guns for usually 12 or 15 shots on the videos. As soon as I turn the cameras off, hey, I'll shoot them another 50, 60 times.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll go through the caps. And this one I got from you last year or 2 years ago, this Lyman's Great Flame Pistol. I've seen a lot of caps in the last year.
Yeah, that's
I just love shooting that thing. This thing's a barrel of fun to shoot. I got some videos coming up with it for long. You'll really enjoy.
Honestly, one of my favorite events at muzzleloader shoots is like the pistol trail walks and stuff like that because it's like another element of challenge using that short barrel.
It is. If you can hit something with this gun, you are the man. Because I'm not saying that from not working. Just the fact that it does have a 9-inch barrel on it, and it's hard for me to hit stuff with it. So it's got to have to be big and kind of close.
Yeah, I completely agree. I do kind of want to go back too, because you said that you kind of had some other hobbies that you got away from and just kind of started muzzleloading. What did you like to do before you got into muzzleloading?
Before I got into the muzzleloading, I was a 110% metal detecting user, treasure hunting. I had metal detectors that I would work mostly old home sites in my area. I grew up in a town that's built in the 1700s on the Ohio River. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of homes down in town that are built in the 1850s to 1900s, and working mill routes where I used to do before I retired. I would get permission from the homeowners, and they'd say, "Yeah, come help yourself." So the little yards down there in in town was just full of silver coins and Indian head cents and wheatback pennies and unusual tokens and just all kinds of things. And I did that for 30 years until this thing came into the picture, and I haven't hardly picked the detector up since, because the obsession with these just really took over.
Yeah, I honestly I was collecting pennies for a long time. I really enjoyed that, especially like wheat pennies and stuff like that. And then I kind of got out of it as well. But muzzleloading has kind of been. I've always been a big hunter, and I know that we were talking a little bit that you actually don't hunt. Which is uncommon, and you said that you don't have the patience for it. Is that right?
That's correct. That's correct. But before, when I started in the hobby, we'd work 6 days a week for the USPS, and Sunday was the only day I had off. So once church was over, I had from like 1 o'clock till dark, which this time of year is at 5:30. To go out and shoot. So my choices are, do I want to sit in a tree stand all day and wait for a possible shot, or do I want to get down on the ground and hang a target up and shoot these things 30, 40 times? So my choice was obviously the second one.
Yeah.
I didn't have the patience to sit in a tree all day waiting for a possible shot. Well, I'll just hang a target up down here along the ground, and we're just going to shoot it.
Well, I can't hardly blame you there when you frame it up like that.
That's why I don't have anything against hunters. I've got friends out here in Kentucky I've seen all over Facebook. They've been shooting deer all week since it's deer season in Kentucky, and more power to them.
Yeah.
I shake their hand. Great, I don't have a problem with that, but it's just not for me because I don't have the patience to wait all day for one to come by, especially when it's cold.
Oh yeah. Yeah, honestly, like there's not a whole lot of tree stand hunting where I live, and the thought of sitting in a tree stand for like 13 hours a day is kind of daunting to me. Mostly around here, it's all like spot and stock. So my deer season actually started yesterday, so I'm going to be out hunting tomorrow and the next day as of time of recording. So.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah.
Send me a picture of it if you get one. I'd like to see it.
I will, absolutely. You'll be the first on my list. So, and I kind of want to talk too a little bit about, because I've been doing muzzleloading for a while, and then I started working here and started making videos and stuff like that. And there's a lot of effort and work that goes into making videos that people don't really see when all they see is the finished product. What made you want to go from shooting black powder to making videos and doing your YouTube channel?
I got into the videos part of it basically because I can't hit anything with the black powder guns very, very routinely. So I thought, well, let's make a kind of a comedy, fun channel out of it. I got started because my daughter came home from school one day when she was a freshman in high school and said, "Dad, can you help me make a public service announcement video? And I need to upload it for YouTube for a black powder or for a YouTube channel I have." And we did all that. We made a sexting commercial, which you're not supposed to do. Don't sex, and that thing. And she got an A on it. So I thought, if she can do this stuff, why can't I do that with these? So I started using little cheap Kodak cameras I had laying around here and using Final Cut Pro 7 at that time to make just simple 2 or 3 or 4 minute videos of shooting the white skillets and things like that. And I thought, if she can do that, so can I. And that's how the channel really got started. I used her channel for the first 10 or 12 videos, and she came home from school one day and said, "Dad, no more videos on that channel. My phone is going crazy with all these questions." So I started my own channel in 2016. I pulled them all off of hers and stuck them on a new channel at that time. And that's basically how it got started. And it's fun, but what you mentioned a minute ago about the editing part of it, what a lot of folks don't realize, and you as an editor and several others will realize this, that it takes probably 45 minutes to an hour for every minute of video that you get to watch, between the uploading, the editing, cutting out the dead time. uploading it to YouTube. So if you see a 5-minute video from someone, that's probably 5 hours worth of work, roughly, to get it done. They don't realize that it does take a while to put them together.
Yeah. Yeah. That's something I didn't really have any video editing experience when I started this job, earlier I started working in marketing in January and kind of learned it all on the fly. And it's a lot of effort, and it's like, man, one video does take quite a bit of time. And I think especially there's some videos that you do that are definitely more labor intensive in post than others. And I also found the more that I'm able to do pre-production, I thank myself later because it's so much easier in post,
Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. And what has cut a lot of time down for me is I try to film everything kind of chronologically in order. I try to do an intro on the camera, and then the shooting scenes, then a wrap up. So when I do download it on the computers and drop in the timeline, I don't want that to get too technical here, because you know what the timeline is.
Oh yeah.
It already is in line with what I want to do. So then I just go through and whack out the dead times and the wrong languages or whatever shows up, and it cut a lot of the time out putting them together. But it's still time consuming, as you already know that.
Yeah, and another thing that people don't really think about is like coming up with the ideas. And sometimes it's easy. Sometimes you get a question from somebody in your community, and you're like, oh, that'd make a great video. But other times you're kind of like, okay, I need to make videos that are going to be interesting and helpful. And how do you come up with your videos? Because I've seen, you have everything from trick shots to like reenacting movie scenes to all kinds of different content on your channel. So how do you come up with those ideas?
Most of it is just something to think of as I'm driving down to what I nicknamed the Zoo Bottoms. It's a piece of ground about 10 miles from my house. And I think of something going down there, because the back of the truck, I have lots of targets and all kinds of things to shoot, and just make videos from there. But about a year ago, I put a what I call a channel update together, asking the viewers of things that they wanted me to try within reason and that's safe also. And I still got plenty of suggestions and trying to fulfill those in the last 6 and 7 months. And I've got one I'm going to put on the channel this weekend or next weekend with a fellow asking me to try something with the cameras and the guns. And so they're giving me plenty of ideas now. I just can't get them all done fast enough.
No, yeah, I know how that goes. So what's been your best video so far, you think? One that you really sticks in your mind?
The one that's got the most views on it is one that teaches you how to cast round balls an easy way. It's a 7-minute video done with the crude cameras I mentioned earlier, not with the good ones I've got now. But it's got, 270,000 views or something, because it's something that everybody's interested in doing.
Yeah.
Is getting these things so that you can quit having to buy round balls and wait for them to be shipped to you. If you can get a little bit of lead and about $150 worth of materials, you can be pouring round balls tonight. And that's how easy it really is. But probably the most memorable ones is the trekking type videos. I try to put one together every summer of activities that a frontiersman would have done in Kentucky in the 1780s. And I know that's a big difference from where you're out there growing up, where you weren't settled to the 1870s or whatever it was. But try to put the buckskins on, and the most recent videos were actually stealing guns from a local fort and having a couple guys running through the woods trying to catch me from stealing guns, and I wound up going through a trial and get put in a set of stocks at the end of the video.
Yeah.
And let's sit there through the weather for a couple of months. And it's something we just think of as we're filming things. Well, let's just twist it this way or that way. And most of them I'm doing by myself, but recently I've had a couple of other guys that interested in helping out, and that makes it a lot more fun and easier to do too.
Yeah, an extra set of hands is always super helpful, because it's tough to film yourself. You got to focus everything and then make sure everything's good to go. It's so much easier when you have somebody else to help with that.
Sure is.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite videos that I saw on your channel is the one where you shot that card in half. Because you put a card in like a piece of 2x4s, and then you shot it on the first try, and you're just like ecstatic that you were able to hit it on the first try.
I was ecstatic. I was so excited to hit that.
Yeah.
Just the luck of the draw. I was shooting a woods walk with 3 other fellows over there at the Muzzleloading Association's event a couple years ago. The 4 of us were on the woods walk together, and the first 3 guys cut cards in half. I could not believe it. There were none of them missed. And come to my turn, of course, I choked. So.
Boy, you guys, if you shot with me, you definitely feel a lot better about yourself, because seems like sometimes I can't hit the broadside of the barn. You know what I'm saying?
I feel totally what you're saying. And going back to the videos for a minute, I'll show the misses and the hits because, I try to live in the real world with muzzleloading. You just don't hit every shot. And I've shot with some fellas that are extremely accurate.
Mm-hmm.
They don't miss very often, but sometimes you do. So I show the fun and the hits and the misses. And I think that kind of makes the channel a little more interesting because, as you know, the editing part, we can always edit out all the misses. Just put the hits in. But first of all, I wouldn't think that those type of videos would be any fun.
Yeah.
You hit everything every time. Just get boring. So I put hits, misses, and draw ball guns in action and whatever. They get dropped in the mud. It's just anything like that. Put them right in there.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I think that what people really want, especially when it comes to muzzleloading, is like real content, of like what's really happening and that sort of thing. And yeah, that's definitely the stuff that I like to watch for sure.
I
Yeah,
totally agree.
Yeah. So kind of switching gears here a little bit. We're talking about muzzleloading, and one question that I like to ask a lot of our guests on here is, the state of muzzleloading, as far as where muzzleloading's at as a whole, as far as our community goes, the culture. Like, what are your thoughts on the state of muzzleloading right now, and what are some things that you would like to see moving forward?
I believe in the last 12 to 14 months with the virus situation going on, the muzzleloading's actually picked up because the seasons are extended. If you get to go out, if you like to hunt with them, and you can actually find round balls and so forth to shoot. The tough part is the inline type of weapons is probably selling faster than anything versus the traditional ones, especially. I think that part is good, but to me, if you're shooting muzzleloaders, you'll eventually talk them into these kind of guns if they have inlines. And get them pulling the trigger on some type of a muzzleloader is the name of the game to me. Now, I might catch some flack for saying that, but I think if you get them stuffing a piece of lead down the barrel and shooting it, they're already hooked. You just have to get them convinced to go this route or go to flintlocks or even nothing else, just percussion pistols.
Yeah.
And everybody I've ever let try these, it's like that shot-in lines eventually said, man, those are great guns. And quite a few of them has actually switched over and bought percussion guns. And so I think the hobby is going to stay level. The inlines is going to pick up a little bit, especially with the virus going on in the last year and a half. The modern gun movement is going to slow down because you can't find shells for them right now, or at least here in Kentucky, you have a hard time finding them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree with you, and I think that inline muzzleloaders, what it does is it gives people something that they are a little bit more familiar with to get started, because the principle is essentially the same. You load from the muzzle, you have a percussion cap that goes in from the breech or reasonable proximity thereof, and once you have that concept down, then side locks and flintlocks become a little bit less intimidating, and you're like, okay, I understand the basics of how this works. And now I'd love to go to something like that and take part in a traditional shoot or something like that,
I believe it's going to convert a lot of shooters. They're going to keep their inlines because it allows their seasons to go longer, especially in Pennsylvania and places like that. But I still believe that, not every one of them, but quite a few of them are going to go to at least percussion guns.
Mm-hmm.
And once they get hooked into them, you'll finally get them into flint guns a little later.
It's just part of your master plan, Mark. You're just like, we're going to convert all these people. They're going to be shooting flintlocks. And
I love it.
Yep.
I love it.
Yep.
I love it. I've introduced quite a few folks to the flintlock world and the muzzleloading world, and one of the favorite type of videos I really enjoy doing is I call it the Flintlock Female Fun playlist. And I ask ladies around here that probably never pulled the trigger on any kind of gun to come out one afternoon and shoot these things, and I'll put easy targets up for them to hit.
Mm-hmm.
I got a Bigfoot target that's massive, and they love shooting that thing. And boy, they just the smiles on their faces is absolutely priceless.
Oh yeah,
they want to shoot more. So just a matter of getting it in their hands and letting them pull the trigger is what it takes.
I totally agree. And it's a matter of making it fun too, because there are competition aspects to muzzleloading, and for people that are really competitive and experienced, that's the way they should go. But there's also a lot of aspects of muzzleloading where it's like, it's go out and ring some steel, yeah. See the smoke cloud, hear the ping. That's the fun that people really want to have, and not making it this huge competition where there's all this pressure, especially when people are starting out.
I agree. And what I try to do is get involved with the clubs in Pennsylvania and Ohio, and even with the Texas back in the summer. And I even asked the organizers, can you get on the other end of the line where 4 or 5 of us can get down there, laugh and joke, hang a couple of steel targets out there or water jugs or something, and laugh and joke, forget the competition.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody so far has pretty much done that. And actually, the shooters on the other end are coming down to our end, wanting to shoot the guns too.
Yeah.
Because we're laughing and acting silly and being safe. Now, don't take me wrong, but acting goofy and silly, and we're shooting each other's guns. And I'll laugh at you if you miss, and I'll laugh with you if you hit it. And and they laugh at me, and that to me is just a barrel of fun. I could do that all afternoon in a heartbeat, and that's what I try to do is to just keep it fun. I'm not against competition, but I can't hit things, so I just leave that to the ones that actually can shoot.
Mm-hmm.
I just like to go down the other end and just keep it fun, and that's me. But anytime somebody wants to do that, sign me up. I'm in.
Yeah, for sure. Do you ever throw hawk and knife?
I do. I got a block out in the backyard that I play with, and a video put on that channel about a year and a half ago, hang a piece of string across a tree with a milk jug hanging on it from a rope above a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Try to cut the string with the hawk and then have the jug swinging and shoot it with the gun.
Oh man,
that's fun to try that.
Yeah,
boy, I like doing that too.
Yeah, honestly, hawk and knife is one of my favorite events. At the traditional shoots and stuff, just because it's a different thing, and I love shooting muzzleloaders, but there's something about sticking a knife or a tomahawk in a block that's just really satisfying,
Oh, couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I love it.
So I have to ask, what is your favorite muzzleloader of all time?
My favorite muzzleloader is a smoothbore.
Really? Like a trade gun, or are we talking about like a musket?
Trade guns. I have a trade gun, a feather solid trade gun, and what I enjoy about that thing is you can stick within reason pretty much anything down the barrel to shoot. I put a video about 5 of them together a year and a half or so ago when I first got that gun. I was shooting popsicle sticks out of it, chicken skewers, toothpicks, springs and batteries and arrows and all kinds of things out of it, at balloons and targets, and it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I like shooting that. Putting buck and ball loads together, I put shot in them, shooting clay pigeons with it, and versatility wise, that's probably one of the most favorite guns that that I like to play with is the smooth bores.
Yeah, trade guns are definitely interesting because they're so versatile. I've even heard of people that will have an event where you have to find a stone that is approximately the right size and shoot it out of the trade gun, you know?
I'll be all for that.
Yeah.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah, because you can shoot shot, round balls, you know, anything out of them. They're a ton of fun. So
I believe back in the day that if a man in the Eastern Kentucky was low on lead and he can actually find some creek rocks, he would stuff them down in there to shoot at an enemy or a bear or or whatever to kill it to eat. I mean,
for sure,
they're versatile.
Yeah, and I think we're going to go ahead and we'll switch gears here a little bit. I have one question for you, and it's kind of pertaining to your YouTube videos. And I need to know what's the funniest thing that you can remember ever happening while filming a YouTube video?
One day I was asking the wife if she would help me out. Most of these videos I do by myself, but she said sure. So I wanted to do a running and a reloading scene, which is what the frontiersmen would have done in Eastern Kentucky by shooting their shot at an enemy. They would run through the woods and stuff powder down in the barrel and put a round ball in it, just kind of ram it quickly on the run, and then turn around, prime it, and shoot at the enemy again. She's okay. So we stuck a camera in the window of the minivan that we have on a selfie stick, so it's pointing out towards this grassy field. I asked her, I said, now stay with me. So as I'm running down through this field, shooting a gun, reloading it, and the first time the lock snapped and it wouldn't go off.
Oh no.
My. Back up the hill, do it again. And on the 7th try, I was about wore out. The grass was slick and fell right down on my back. She's cracking up laughing. She said, "Are you done playing now?" So got up with mud all up and down the back and the mud in the barrel of the gun, and she just cracking up laughing.
Oh man,
that kind of stuff happens once in a while when you're filming things.
Yeah, that is hilarious. It's so funny too because you have this vision of something that you want from a YouTube video, and you just start trying to make it happen and just doesn't quite work out the way you want it to, Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. So
yes, sir.
Yeah, that is funny. Well, I think that we're kind of getting ready to wrap things up here, but I want to make sure I give you some space. If people are listening to this and they want to check out your content that we've been talking about, how do they find you? What are some ways that they can see that stuff?
Probably the easiest way, Darren, is for them to open up youtube.com and just type in the words Black Powder Maniac Shooter. Then the channel will pop up. And then once they open it up, there's probably 200 videos on there in about 6 or 7 different playlists. I have one for flintlock shooting. I have one for smooth bore shooting, percussion gun shooting, pistol shooting, and the Treks are on one. So pretty much anything that they would be interested in seeing would be on there. You just have to click around the playlist. I separate them for 2 reasons. So I can find things when I'm looking for them, and you as a viewer can also find things that particularly would interest you. There's also one called Black Powder Tips, as you mentioned earlier, that will allow you to look up how to shoot flintlock rifles, how to cut patches, how to make round balls, how to cut cleaning patches, and so forth. So that's probably the easiest way to do it, is to just look up Black Powder Maniac Shooter on YouTube and go from there. I do have a P.O. Box, Box 11, Washington, Kentucky, 41096. If you send me something corresponding-wise, I will answer it, get back with you.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to do that. I've had folks send me things, and I'll send them little campaign buttons with the channel name on it. If anybody asks, I'll be glad to send them one. Pretty easy to find, and I try to keep the channel fun and entertaining. Don't want dry, boring videos on it. Just when you open one up, they're usually 9 to 10 minutes long, and I want you to just kind of watch it all the way through and see what kind of crazy thing is going to happen next.
Yeah. You definitely keep people on their toes. I will say that.
Right, dude. Right, dude.
Yeah. And like we're talking about, your how-to videos are awesome. If you guys have any question about muzzleloading, definitely check out the how-to videos. They're all very informative and fun to watch too, because sometimes how-to videos can be a little bit dry. But not Mark's. Mark's are awesome. So, Mark, I really appreciate you joining us for this podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you.
I love it. Thank you for the invitation, Darren.
Oh,
Appreciate
for sure.
it.
Anytime. We'll have to have you back on sometime soon.
Love it.
Cool.
Thanks.
And also, any of you guys listening or watching, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, click the bell to receive notifications whenever we post content. We post podcast once a week, and we have other videos that are going up on Friday. And we've actually been experimenting with doing some YouTube shorts on Mondays, so make sure to check those out. If you're listening just on an audio platform, be sure to leave us a review, and because that's going to really help out the show. It's going to help get this content into the hands of people who need it. And yeah, thank you guys so much. We'll see you on the next podcast.